If you've been looking at Bentonville or Fayetteville, Arkansas, then this video is definitely for you because you definitely want to avoid this area if these things really drive you nuts. So come take a survey, a quiz, if you will, with me. And we're going to cover 16, 17 items. So let's get after it. The first one is allergies just suck around here. Last week, I was meant to make this video. It was beautiful out. There was perfect weather. And I got hit with, like somebody punched me in the face. And it was terrible. So I had to postpone for a week. And I'm still not quite cleared up. Had to go to the doctor and everything to get cleared up all the way. And so allergies can be during these seasons. This is May right now. April through May to June. Sometimes in September, people get flare-ups as well. So there's just, allergies can really suck. Weather is another thing. So today, you can tell kind of behind me that it's, kind of grayscale. This morning it was perfect blue skies, windy, clear, 85 degrees. And now there's a storm rolling in. And that storm, what that means is there's going to be some wind, there's going to be some rain, there might be some thunderstorms, maybe a little hail. That's a spring, summer storm. That's pretty common. Usually the tornadoes skirt around northwest Arkansas and they go north from Oklahoma to Joplin and Missouri area. So that's usually what happens. But in the 15 years I've been here, we've had 4 tornado incidents, 3 of which just were out in some cow fields, tore up some barns, maybe a house. But nobody's ever died from them since I've been here, and nobody has ever been injured. And the 4th incident was in downtown Springdale. It wreaked some havoc on some infrastructure, but thankfully nobody was even injured, nobody died. So yes, we get them. And you can get a storm shelter put into your house, and probably 1 out of 50 houses that we tour, maybe even a higher number, 1 out of 100 houses that we tour are going to have a storm shelter. But you can definitely go to Lowe's and get one for a couple $1,000s, get it installed in your house. Or I've seen a lot of custom builders offer that as like a safe room for the pantry. All right, I gotta pause that, Brent, and talk about more recent events. So I recorded that mid-May, and a few weeks later, I think it was a week later, downtown Rogers got hit by a tornado, a pretty good sized one. I think it was an F2, and right through a lot of Rogers, Old Town. It did a lot of damage. Sadly, 1 person did die. And there was a good number of injuries. They're still, this is the beginning of June. They're still recovering. They're still chopping down trees that fell over. They're getting houses rebuilt. There was houses that were completely, just wiped out. Thankfully, not more people died. So I just wanted to give you the most recent update. I just said that thankfully nobody died in all these events. Well, this has now happened. Tornadoes happen. We can't predict them. So like I said, there's been a lot of damage that was done. People are still recovering. A lot of effort. Neighborhoods and people, the region really came together, did a lot of food drives and supply drives and refrigeration for their food and hot food, and just really helping the community, helping each other, and just really coming through to get things fixed and give places to people that need places to stay. So that was a nice benefit of it, but it's frustrating that it happened. Yes, tornadoes happen around here. 2 years ago was downtown Springdale. 2024 was downtown Rogers. And the time before that, it had been over 55 years. So you never know. All right, back to the other Brent talking about winter. So there's definitely options for weather. And now more for the winter, you really need all-wheel drive maybe 10 days out of the year here. Yeah, we get snow, but sometimes we get ice and snow. It'll sleet and then snow on top of it, or freezing rain and then snow on top of it. So that's always helpful, right? And then they spray, they scrape, and they do all the road prep, but maybe they don't do it to the level that it needs to. It just doesn't feel effective. So those days, those 3-4 days when we do get snow, yeah, you're gonna want all-wheel drive if you have to go to work or if you need to go to the grocery store. But most of the time you can just stock up a little bit, wait 2 or 3 days, and the weather has passed, the roads are back to normal, and it's safe driving conditions. All right, number 3 is gonna be bugs, snakes, wildlife, everything that there is in Northwest Arkansas. So I am hugely allergic to, I don't know if allergic, but I react very highly to chiggers and ticks. They are attracted to me. There's a story of me chasing one of our pet birds across a grass field, and my wife and I were running through it to keep up with the bird. And the next day I had hundreds of bites from chiggers all the way up and down the legs, in between where the sun don't shine, everywhere. It was excruciatingly painful, and it was very, very uncomfortable. But my wife, she had 6. She ran the same distance, same field, everything. So they are attracted to me. Maybe you are blessed with my kind of genetics, or you're blessed with my wife's kind of genetics. Either case, this is your friend. I use this one, but you can use whatever you want for bug spray. And it is vital if you're going to be running across a hayfield, tall grass. If I'm showing a house that has grass that hasn't been cut in 2 weeks, I'm spraying that on my ankles. I am that thorough. I'm that paranoid about it. I do not like it. Same thing for like going on a hiking trip. I'm going to spray that everywhere. I don't get any bug bites at that point, maybe 1 or 2. And after a few hours and it's worn off and I needed to reapply. Mosquitoes are not a huge thing. Up in Bella Vista, out by Beaver Lake, at a river edge, there can be some mosquitoes there. But in general, the areas, neighborhoods and such, there's not mosquito issues. More so, you're going to have flies, snakes. So let's talk about snakes for a second. There's really 3 snakes that you got to be worried about around here. That's cottonmouth, copperhead, and the rattlesnake, high altitude rattlesnake. And I say high altitude for our area, that means 1,800 feet and above. Fayetteville and Bentonville are about 1,000 to 1,200 feet. So in the sparse, higher mountaintop areas that there's not buildings and people traversing all the time, that's where you have to be cautious of the rattlesnakes. So if you're out hiking some trails, then watch your step. They don't go after people and chase people, but they will definitely defend their hole. They defend themselves as they're slithering by. So just be cautious where you look, cautious where you step. Cottonmouths, copperheads, usually those are in untrodden areas that are not, again, just be cautious where you're stepping as you're out hiking on some of the trails around here in Northwest Arkansas. When I was talking to the University of Arkansas's snake study guy, there was a name for his department. I apologize, I don't remember it. But I was talking to him and he said there was less than a dozen snake bites a year in the area, and there's 500,000 people here. So the ratio is really small. The very few snake bites, according to him and our conversation. So just be careful of the area and where you're walking, especially if you're out hiking. Bella Vista, I've heard that, if you go down into the backyard and into the little hollers, a little valley back there, and you're traipsing around, yeah, maybe you might come across a snake. So just be careful, just be mindful. We do have them, but they could be easily prevented. And other wildlife that we're gonna have, we're gonna have deer, we're gonna have skunks, we're gonna have possums, raccoons. We have some turkey. We have some very sparse bear, very, very infrequent, very uncommon, more out in the very rural areas where those rattlesnakes might be. We have some coyotes, not prevalent, but not overly prevalent, but we do have some coyotes, rabbits and such. So we got the, we've got the generic stuff for sure, but be sure to reach out to us and check with us. And if you want more details, more stories about any of these topics, we'd love to connect with you. Hit all the like, subscribe buttons, and comment which animal or bug that is going to be the most interesting for you. I typically hate the chiggers, but we'll see what you say. Well, as you can see, everybody, this is a new shirt, new day. Yesterday was stormy. Today is no different. Spring in Northwest Arkansas. It's all rainy. I was going to fly my drone and talk to the drone and tell you all this information, but it is pouring rain and I need to get this video done to get this information to you. So number 4 thing that really frustrates us and really is a negative for Northwest Arkansas is going to be cost of living. You know, we have shrinkflation, trickflation, inflation of all the food products, you know, things getting smaller, more expensive. You've seen those memes, you've seen those videos about that. That's a real thing. We have that here, obviously. So food costs, restaurant costs are frustrating. Those are going up. It's just expensive to live. And then, you know, gas prices around here, a few years ago, it was $1.50. Now it's $3.20 a gallon, maybe a little bit more sometimes. And then utility costs. The utility costs are going up. Natural gas is going up a little bit. The electricity went from 11 cents a kilowatt hour to about 15 cents a kilowatt hour. So it's going up, it's trickling up, but you know, it's still quite a bit lower to a lot of places. It's still frustrating that it's trickling up. So now that we're still talking about cost of living, I want to talk about the next one, which is rental prices. To get a rental in town, near Centerton, Bentonville, Rogers, Springdale, Fayetteville, you're going to be average $1,600 to $1,700 a month for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, maybe even a townhome like that. And you can easily get up to the $3,000 to $3,500 in certain areas for nicer places, bigger and such. So the rental prices are really difficult around here. We have about 2,300 houses for sale in Northwest Arkansas. There's about 150 houses for rent right now. So it's really competitive. We just had somebody move here from Arizona and they were trying to find places and they saw multiple. They went to multiple open houses and they were telling me that they saw the same people at all the open houses and they were all applying for the same place. So it's pretty competitive and it can be complicated to get a rental, especially in a higher demand area, Bentonville, Centerton areas. So rental prices are definitely frustrating for this market. Now, number 6, housing prices. Housing prices, since I've been in real estate since 2018, you could get a house, a decent house, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage in a, you know, maybe a 10-year-old neighborhood for $120,000 to $160,000. That same house is now double the price. We're looking at our average price in this area is $320,000. That doesn't mean that you can still get a brand new one over by the airport that's 3-bedroom, 1,500 square feet, 1,400 square feet for just under $300,000. You can still get that. You can still find the 250s. Some of them are even brand new. Some of them are in Bella Vista. You can still find those prices, but they are a little bit more complicated. There's less of them than the bulk numbers of houses that are available in the neighborhoods that they're building. So if you're looking for a 3 to 4 bedroom house in Centerton, Bentonville, you need to be budgeting around the 350 to 400,000 range. You can still find the 325. It's a little bit more complicated. Maybe it needs some cosmetic work that you're willing to do or live with. So just keep that in mind. That really leads us to our next one, number 7, land prices. So land prices vary. The closer you are to town, obviously the more expensive, the less available large size. If you're looking for a lot, like a 1-acre lot that you can have a nice estate house on, that's going to be in the 100,000 to 200,000 range, depending on where you're looking. Maybe a little bit more depending on where the location is of that property. Now we've had a few people buy, 180 acres out in Prairie Grove, and it was $4,000 an acre. We had somebody buy some 50 acres in Washington County, and it was close to $6,000, $7,000 an acre. So there's some variations of what you can find. The larger piece that you're buying all at once, the more of a discount you get. But if you're looking for that 5 acre, that 1 acre, 2 acres, then you need to be calculating 10 to 15,000, maybe a little bit more depending on how close it is to Fayetteville, Bentonville areas. I had somebody call me the other day and they were looking for 5 to 20 acres, 30 minutes within Bentonville. And they wanted to be under X number of price. And I was like, man, that just doesn't exist anymore. That's just not available. We got 6 acres here for $100,000, but I have no idea about the land. So that's the kind of land value prices are just going up. It's becoming more and more in demand. You know, as you look at the topographical map of Fayetteville, Bentonville, we have the lake to the east of us. That's really stopping the advancement of neighborhoods and the city sprawl that way because of all the hills and the lake. And then south and southeast and a little bit southwest of Fayetteville, the same thing. We got mountains up there, and Fayetteville's, like I said, 1,000 feet, 1,200 feet above sea level. Then we got mountains that are hitting 1,600 feet. Beautiful to look at, but you just can't put a neighborhood on top of it. And they don't run infrastructure and utilities up there. So the land prices are just getting more and more expensive if you are in the path of where they will build in the city sprawl. So this is why you want to reach out to us so that we can kind of give you our perspective of where the city sprawl is headed, where it's coming from, where would be a good place to invest in some land, and where would be a good place to buy some land and that you never will have a city sprawl, or most likely will never have city sprawl reach you. So be sure to reach out to us. We got phone number, email, QR code, whatever you got. We'd love to connect with you and hear your story. Number 8, since we're talking about land right now and building costs, if you already own the land, building costs right now, if you are ridiculously thrifty and you can save money and find the right products, materials, and maybe you do some of the work on the house yourself, or you shop around for get better subcontractors, maybe $150 a square foot. If you do all that to build the house, if you already own the land, be $150 a square foot times $2,000, that's $300,000 to build your house, plus whatever the land costs. But average, if you're not doing any of the work yourself and you're not shopping around for subcontractors, then it's going to be $180 to $200 a square foot, depending on the finishes you go with. Now, something that like Alan and I did with his house is we drove down to Dallas to buy doors. We drove down to Dallas to get flooring, and you can be thrifty. So you got to look in different cities. Maybe it's worth renting a U-Haul and taking a day off work and going to do that if you have the time and space and availability to do so. But if you don't, then it's going to be, like I said, $180 to $200 a square foot, as long as you're not going crazy on finishes and such. So you can build a really nice house for that price and get really good finishes. It just may not be the $100,000 kitchen appliances. We've got some builders, we've got several either remodelers or just custom home builders, barnuminium builders. We've got connections for all those people. So if you want those, please reach out to us and we'll get you connected with them. So this is number 9, building codes or lack thereof in the county. So this can be kind of a frustration, kind of a problem for some people. Is when Alan was building his house, the only code that he had to uphold and make sure that he did was make sure all the poo went away. The septic system was properly thumbs up by the county and the health department. Other than that, the water authority said, yeah, your house is good to be turned on for the water. So that was pretty minimal. So that means you could go buy a house that was built in the country, so you don't know if it's built to code or not. This is why we would stress to get an inspection, a very thorough one, get the roof inspected, the attic, whatever thing, under the house if there's a crawl space. So all those details, if you're buying a rural house that's been built a while ago, we're gonna get it thoroughly inspected. Somebody's gonna build a house, they don't want it to burn down, to leak, to blow over during a windstorm, and neither do you when you buy it. So that can be a frustration. It also can be a benefit if you're looking for the freedom to do what you want and you have the skills and the capabilities to do so. Arkansas is a really good place to do that then. All right, got to interrupt once again. While I was getting rained out in that park, I completely missed something on my notes and didn't even talk about
all the chicken houses, the chicken smell, and the cow flies that are around here. If you're looking a little bit more in the rural areas, and you're looking at satellite views and you see these long silver buildings, and maybe there's 3, 4, 5 of them right next to each other, and they're clumped around. Those are chicken houses, predominantly chicken or turkey poultry houses. And there's some that smell less, depending on the type. You got broilers, you got eggs, there's a few different variety of types of chickens that they grow around here. And depends on which one it is. I don't know which one smells less, but I know that certain ones smell less, and they don't smell awesome, especially during if you're quarter mile. Alan lives a quarter mile away from one, and he's upwind and it is downwind, and so he never smells it, and you could see it from his house, and we never smell it from his house, and we're outside all the time. But if you are a little bit downwind of certain kind, it's going to smell to high heaven, and it does not smell pleasant. It's gross. So you don't want to be, you could be a half mile away and you're fine. You could be a quarter mile away and you're fine. But it's something that if you're looking at it, you go, well, I really need to be there to measure the smell, and ask the neighbors, like, hey, what is it like in the summer when the chicken house is really hot and rank? And ask them what it's like, and ask them what the flies are like, because that's the other thing is cow flies. If you don't have chicken houses, you might be, if you're looking at rural properties, you might be near some cow fields. Like I'm in a newer neighborhood, but there's cow fields right over there. There's cow fields right over there. There's a wetlands right over there, and we get a good amount of flies in our newer neighborhood backyard. Like when I'm grilling something on the back porch, like there's flies everywhere. And it's like, oh my gosh. Alan has some cows for neighbors, and it is abundant, the amount of flies that they have over there. So those are just some things that really frustrate people, that you just don't think about, you don't know about. So this is why I'm trying to inform you guys. All right, back to me.
We are losing that small town feel. We're a small town getting bigger. Where 10 years ago we were under 400,000 people. Now we're getting close to 600,000 in a few years.
Got to interrupt a little bit. Apologize. If we kept listening to that, the audio just completely cuts out. My microphone just failed me. That's why I have a new camera, a new microphone on order, and why I'm shooting it still here in the office. So what I want to talk about was a small town feel. We are a growing area. We're over 550,000 people, gaining about 45 people a day, according to statistics. That's a lot of people coming into the area. There's a lot of apartment complexes constantly being full. As I mentioned earlier, the rental prices, the market for rental is really competitive. But what that also means is there's a bunch of new construction constantly going on. And sometimes, they're kind of boring new construction, as in the houses feel very similar outside, really small lots and small yards. But infrastructure, sewer lines, water lines, we are a constant state of expanding those. Springdale, I know, has like a $8 million project. Bentonville has a $22 million project to expand these systems, to get more facilities to handle newer neighborhoods and that are being added on to their system. So we're always playing catch up. I have not experienced us to be ahead of this curve yet. I don't know if we'll ever will be, but that also limits to how many places we can build. To the east, we've got the lake, and it starts getting hilly. To the south, we've got mountains. To the southeast, we've got some more mountains. So it's really, everything is heading westward towards Oklahoma. And that's where there's a lot of farmland. There's a lot of cow fields. There's a lot of chicken houses out there. The infrastructure just hasn't had a need to be there. So they're building further out, getting pump stations and drain fields and whatever else they need. But that limits to where they can build. And so that becomes a frustration that it drives up property values and all this stuff. But what that overarching means, what I started with is the small town feel, is this place is growing and growing and growing. New roads, new highways, everything is always under construction. You know, Weddington Drive on-ramp has been under construction for 3 years, and I think they might finish it this year. Maybe, not holding my breath. There's still a lot of work to be done. There's just roads that are always under construction. There's roads that it's just growing pains of going from 3, 4, 500,000 people. They're predicting that in a few years, in 20 years, we're supposed to be close to 1 million people. So that's a lot of houses to happen, to be built in the next 20 years, 15, 20 years. So that is a big amount of growth. That's what they're predicting, whatever that means. You do your own research on that. So we're losing that small town. Maybe you're coming from somewhere that's 3, 4, 5, 6 million people. But if you're coming from 1 million, you know, it's going to feel smaller, but for how long? And this is, you know, where the city sprawl is happening. You got to calculate that. You got to think about that so that the city doesn't catch up to you. And, you know, a lot of people that are looking for land, they always ask that question, you know, where do you see expansion coming? It's like, well, you're in the hills, so they can't build infrastructure on top of the hills. Anyways, so I digress. Let's get back to me getting rained out, and we'll see you soon.
So number 12, that's really frustration around here, is a lot of people look at the east side of the lake or the right side of the lake on the map, and they're like, man, this place is beautiful over here. It's all trees. Here's the problem with that is it is highly inaccessible by any direction, and you are placing yourself 30 to 40 minutes away from any kind of grocery store. And that's just a local, small little grocery store, not anything like Sam's or a bigger Walmart or something like that. It actually has a wider variety. You're placing yourself away from any medical facilities. So that could be a big frustration, a big negative, is those roads over there are really windy. They are very windy roads. It takes 30 to 40 minutes to get anywhere. Cell phone reception spotty, internet's spotty over there. It is difficult to get builders. You can get a builder over there, but they're going to charge a little bit more because they probably live in Bentonville, Springdale area, and they got to drive 45 minutes, 50 minutes to go over there and start work. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. Beautiful area, but you're limiting yourself on services. If you want seclusion, that's your spot. If you want lake views, it's definitely your spot, but it can be a little bit of a far drive to your neighbors or a small town. On the same topic as roads and limiting services, I would say south of Fayetteville, the mountain roads that are down there, south of Fayetteville, east of Springdale, there are some rural areas that you're going to have zero cell phone reception. You're going to be 30, 40 minutes away from medical services, grocery stores. You're going to have a small community where there's a gas station and a post office box, and people are going to know you, and you're going to know everybody. So that could be a plus and a minus, but the roads down there don't get serviced as well. There's just can be some rural negativity of that kind of atmosphere of like there's poor services. If you're looking to still be connected and be close to everything, you might be 30 minutes away from Fayetteville, but you can still be in the mountains. So you got to weigh that. Tell me if that's going to be a good or plus or a minus for you. I just want to throw it out there. The other one would be high-speed internet. If you're in Washington County, we got you covered. We got fiber internet just about everywhere. Like 95% of the county is covered with fiber internet. Benton County, Madison County, Carroll County, those other 3 main counties that we have, those ones are hit or miss. If you're in the city in Benton County, Rogers, Bentonville, Centerton, we've got fiber internet, we've got high speed for you, don't worry. But if you are out in the country, it can be hit or miss on, there's places in Bella Vista that the fastest speed you'll get is 25 megabytes a second. And that's coming from a coax cable. So this is why you want to reach out to us so we can help you find and navigate all the high-speed areas and really where you want to be that's going to have a good service for you. When you get across the lake on the east side, like I was mentioning, satellite internet, Starlink is probably going to be the best one out there. Maybe the 5G hotspot in your house. So there's going to be some limited options, and there's a little bit of variety. So be sure to reach out to us so we can help you sort that out. And then the last one I want to talk about, people get touchy, is just historical voting. If this is negative to you, mark that down, and maybe Arkansas is not for you. But I just want to let you know that historically the state votes red in the major federal elections, and then in the local stuff it's mostly red. If you look at the map, Little Rock and Bentonville and Fayetteville, those are going to be voting blue or have districts that vote blue. And we've got the university there. So I'm not saying which way is better and which way is worse. I'm just trying to give you the information so you can make the best choice and see if Northwest Arkansas is the best place for you and your family. If any of these 15, 16 items were a negative, well, mark that down. Let me know. If those negatives are overcomable, then give us a call, and we'd love to help you out and serve you and answer some questions that maybe I left some gaps. Maybe this video caused more questions for you than answers. So until the next video, I'll see you guys soon.